can't be a billionaire with empathy. Like you need to be a cutthroat, ruthless person to be a billionaire.
Yeah, and just because you're broke doesn't mean you're warm.
This guy's probably one step away from Zuckerberg. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's like a network numbers game. For example, poverty necessitates good social connections.
I did morphine one time because I had herpes zoster.
It's one of the sadder stories.
Isn't it ironic that so much...
He was also the founder of wokeness.
He's also the founder of like online porn.
Yesterday, I interviewed the owner of the .tv domain.
Don't you think cancel culture is weakening?
Not necessarily. I think it's getting worse. I think the best episodes of a podcast are the first 10.
You know that if you act emotions out, it becomes your real emotions.
When I was 19, I had 0 friends and a horrible lifestyle. If you are so good at something that you're creating a competitive environment, you're really going to grow that domain that you're in.
Guys, I wanted to present you with some possible business models. What are other businesses that could use someone like a professional crier? Because crying at work is very powerful.
Cinema, funerals,
Weddings.
Why would you pay somebody to cry at the cinema?
You make your movie like more, appealing.
Ah, I see.
Like imagine if you hired 5 people to cry at the sad part of your movie, and you do that for every viewing of the movie. Now most people are going to relate.
5 people to cry at the funniest part,
or to laugh.
Oh, that's pretty hard.
Yeah, but they do that.
Laugh tracks are into
what's his name? Conan or Fallon or all of them. Yeah. They have the people that are like seals.
Okay,
clapping.
but so you got levels though: crying, hollering, rolling on the ground, and threatening to jump and jumping into the grave. I just thought, like, what other businesses could you do that at? Like, could you hire this guy?
Schools.
And then film it on a podcast, or, you film it and that is the best marketing for your business, because who fucking does that?
Do you remember when people used to, so there was this Rick and Morty episode.
I would pay for that. I mean, for my dad,
What's his annual running rate?
So there's this Rick and Morty episode.
He must get really good at it after
season 3, episode something, the Szechuan sauce episode. And people would just mass go to McDonald's and like autistically run around, crawl, scream and screech.
I don't remember.
And they did this all over the US.
Yeah. Well, okay, talk about a normal business. If you were underwriting loans and somebody was in there crying, you'd be like, wow. If you go on a plane and there's some turbulence and then like somebody's crying at the end of it,
That's me.
Yeah. The other day.
And nobody pays you.
Or if you go to the courtrooms or the lawmakers and you just have a guy crying in there every time an important law should pass.
That works anywhere.
It does, yeah, for sure.
It would work here. Somebody's like, you guys are so inspirational. Where else would it work? I'm just trying to think about how
in the bedroom.
How to actually. Are you gonna hire a guy to
just sit in the corner and cry?
I've thought about that as a business idea before, like, having a seriously for my app. I thought about this, like you can have a Skype call, like video call, where the guy can watch you have sex and then give you feedback on it, right?
Let's go. Slam dunk.
Isn't that called OnlyFans or something?
So coach.
I mean, who takes the comments, right? You hear you're paying for the comments. Right? It's an opposite OnlyFans. But wouldn't you like to know if there's like shit you don't know? Because the bedroom is the most private place. So wouldn't you like to know what other people think like you could be doing better constructively?
You're talking about sex coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like a live sex coach.
It's a thing already.
It's a thing already, yeah.
So there's people that watch you have sex and give you feedback.
I'm sure there is. If you can think of it, it exists.
It does, but I have never seen any advertisement.
Yeah, well, maybe you need to look for some. You're going to get us canceled, Chris.
Feasible.
5 minutes in here and you're already like talking about people's appearances. Come on.
When you think of Tantra, you're like...
I think of hippies. And
Yeah, that's
exactly what I'm
Yep.
looking at right
Yeah.
there. They're missing some
But there's
dreadlocks.
something about hippies that makes them hippie. And I think it's like...
Dreadlocks.
It's like you're looking at a person and then you squint your eyes and turn your head a bit and you're like, okay, that looks like a hippie.
Look, dreadlocks, unshowered, 40-year-old white
but
person.
I actually
drugs.
think there has to be like one thing that's a little bit off about them.
The eyes.
So the nose is big, or the facial features are a little like not symmetrical.
We're already in canceled territory for the second time. Let's try to not talk shit about people for 10 minutes.
These are the easiest people to talk shit about. It's like the least. What are they going to come back? Give you a massage?
Bro. We're all
Like
one.
let me work out that hate, Chris. You guys can talk if you want to. You're allowed.
Even like there's
You're allowed.
I really have no comments about Polish Tantra events or whatever it is. Like,
Let's go do a podcast from there next year. In fact, we could still hit it up.
You can
tomorrow.
you can get them to come on and ask them questions, like which feature is off.
Which what?
Which
What
of
makes
your
you
Your
features
mic
is off?
closer because you're low.
what makes you hippie?
What makes you pee pee?
I know there's gonna be a day in like 3 years where I'm gonna regret this for sure.
What makes you pee pee? Usually the sound of water, right? It's pretty easy. There you go.
Why is it that the sound of water makes you piss?
Because it sounds like when you piss.
Well, what about that would make you piss? He's thinking, theorizing.
Maybe when you piss, you hear this sound, so you connect this. It's just like
That's what I said already.
you're like only this, or there's something more to it.
There's probably something more to it. He's really going through the whole scientific method in his head right now.
Well, yeah, it's mirror neurons. It's like you hear something and then you think of doing it.
And then you're
You know what's really
it's a
interesting?
tongue.
I don't think like mirror neurons work that way, but I think they're mostly related to the emotional states. But anyway,
Is pissing an emotion?
exactly.
Isn't it? Like a relief state?
Sometimes.
Catharsis.
It is a form of catharsis.
So is shitting, right? That's why it's
Oh, no.
slightly pleasurable.
Canceled part 3.
You're so worried about that. Like you're going all
Honestly, because yeah, I mean, the more you talk to people,
I mean, if we had any listeners, I'm sure we lost them all by now.
corporate. We don't. This is
No, I mean,
I
in
think
the
that-
future.
I think
after.
the best episodes of a podcast are the first 10 because you get like the raw, unfiltered.
yeah.
For real. When the people get more experience, they become like
Tight.
tighter. That's what I'm saying. Like now that I've spoken to so many people, I realize that you could say something seemingly benign, and someone's going to decide, oh, this is this is a cancelable offense.
Don't you think cancel culture is weakening?
Not necessarily. I think it's getting worse.
And also, I don't think there is any cancel culture in Poland, so we're good.
A bit. There is.
I'm going to put this in.
Nah, there isn't.
Now, when I mean cancel culture, it's like you get kind of put into a bucket, right? Like it's not like you're not going to be able to go and speak in person, but you get put into a bucket. Like Shane Gillis, right? He's already in a bucket. Is he a funny guy? Sure, but he's still in a bucket.
What kind of
Louis
bucket does it
C.K.
fit into?
The canceled bucket, the jerking off in front of other people bucket. Like it's just like some
But
random.
he totally use that as a bit. So
Yeah, but it's like you're cutting yourself off from like 80% of the people that might have listened to you. So the reason most people are super
Cool,
tight.
but, I like the cancel bucket. It's a great list of
I
recommended content.
also like the cancel bucket when it's about like who's listening to you, but what about who's hiring you or who your client is, right? Like Elon
Yeah,
Musk
but
smoking a joint on stream.
It's a paradox because you want to get the attention of those people by doing something extreme and unusual and outside of the cancel bucket. And then you also want to act like you're in the bucket, right? To do the work, to show. So it's a difference between, I've heard this and I was like, God, the entire world kind of boils down to warmth and competence. These are the two things. Everybody likes to show, like all tech guys like to show how competent they are, but they don't really care about warmth, but they know they lack it and they don't really see the benefit of warmth. But there's an equal and opposite benefit to warmth as there is competence. Whenever you hear billionaire, you think competence, you don't think warmth. So what's the opposite of a billionaire?
A brokey?
No, it's somebody that's incredibly warm.
Yeah, like empathy, I guess. You know, you can't be a billionaire without...
No, like...
You can't be a billionaire with empathy. Like, you need to be a cutthroat, ruthless person to be a billionaire.
Yeah, and just because you're broke doesn't mean you're warm. Or,
no, that doesn't just mean that you're
the same
warm.
Scale even. It's a different dimension.
Well, if you're warm, you're probably wealthy as well.
No, I don't think so.
Nah.
I don't think so.
I think it's completely independent dimension.
Oh, you know who was really warm is he was one of Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole was married to a very reliable woman, and so he was so agreeable that people would take advantage of him all the time. And the only thing that kept him from, being a complete failure was his wife, who protected him. People would be like, "Hey, Dad, let's go there," and he'd be like, "Okay, guys," like whatever. He was just such a positive guy, so agreeable, and So off the top of my head, he's one of the warmest.
But does warm mean that you have to let people take advantage of you all the time? Like,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's agreeable. Like, part of being warm is being agreeable. Like, it would take some real fucking jujitsu to be agreeable and not like feed into other people's worlds.
Okay, here's how I look at it. You're saying it's two different dimensions.
You gotta stop slouching.
If you look at the extremes, right? Like the extremes is in like super billionaire and like super, super kind and caring person. Are they 100% correlated with wealth or like achievement or competence? No. But the majority of the time, I think, yeah. Like there's going to be a big correlation. Like somebody who's a lot more cold and ruthless is going to have a lot more money. And somebody who's like super outgoing and social is going to be on the poorer side. For example, poverty necessitates good social connections. That's how you survive as a poor person. That's why you see, like, if you go to these countries that are super poor,
some real life data on that.
Just go to any poor country and you'll see the real life data.
Quantified shit, not
okay. Let's
observations.
Fuck. If we only had sound, I have some videos called havesomefuckingcompassion.com where I interviewed homeless people in San Francisco.
I did watch that. That's some heavy material.
And they have what's called rainbow gatherings where people from all over come and literally, like, they trade. They don't have money, so they trade things that they have, and they party together and take drugs and drink. And
you've been to Brazil. You've been to South America in general.
Is that a question?
Yeah, and it's a question, just kind of like a confirmation thing. Do people there build closer to each other? Are like families more involved with building together? So like, for example, let's say there's a family, a brother, a mother, they have two children. Do they usually pool their money together to build houses?
Because they are poor.
Because they're poor.
Yeah.
So like poverty necessitates people working together to survive.
No, not necessarily. If you go to like, I don't know, Congo, everybody wants to fucking kill you and steal from you.
I think that's... Have you been to Congo?
I've watched some videos of people going there. It was like...
I'm
never going there, man. Like, ever.
I probably wouldn't go there either, but I just think that's kind of like a reductive take on it.
No, I think like whether you take care of other people is a matter of culture, not your socioeconomic status.
Why does America love building in suburbs where each house is detached on four sides and surrounded by grass? Like surrounded by backyard.
It's like
front
mini independence.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of history there. And
why? Because we were founded on independence.
Exactly.
No, it's because we have money. Like if we didn't have money, you're not going to be able to have like
it's
that
the
much
two
space.
things, though. Like you have the space and the money, and you have the attitude.
And a certain tradition, like certain expectations because of like how history has played out. You know, yeah, there is no single reason for that. It's a mix of things.
Let's go back to this.
Crying guy.
But I think this is genius because
You should look to Japan. There's like people who are like advertising they're gonna do nothing for you, like just hang around and say nothing and just be there. Like there's a bunch
it's easy.
of
You
this.
got tons of friends like
There's
that.
professional friends. Yeah.
Yeah,
Professional
It's like
friends.
Greg right now. So
How much are you getting paid, Greg?
Wait.
That whiskey.
He's getting paid for this?
You didn't know.
Renegotiate.
So you don't pay your guests? Cheap.
Cheap. With all that cameras, dude.
futures.
How many shares
future
do I own of the
followers.
podcast? That would be a great podcast. Like basically every guest would own 1% of the remaining shares of the podcast.
When ICO.
One ICO. Interesting podcast. Maybe I should do that.
With crypto. You start a coin and you say, "Hey, you're gonna get
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you set that up? We could do that.
We could do that. That sounds like a fun idea.
Business
I
ideas.
don't want to administrate anything. I'm at my limit. I can't even remember what I'm doing 90% of the time.
Dude, I'm on calls 9 hours a day. It's like one call to the next call to the next call. It's so boring.
exhausting, dude. Wait,
That's work. You know, some
that's why-
people go pick up bricks. I just sit on calls.
That's why you get like train people to record things and then you can watch it in 2.5x.
Yeah, but the point is that I'm on the call. Like I don't even have
That's
to
good.
say anything. I just sit there. That's the point. That's my job.
No video and no mic.
For me, well, I mean, most of the time no video, half of the time no mic, just like muted and no video. I have my VR headset on, so I'm like, playing a game and not playing a game. I'm like doing other stuff.
You remember that you're on fucking
he doesn't.
I'm making
Maybe some that's like
I'm making influential decisions. Okay,
likable decisions, relatable decisions,
relatable decisions.
warm decisions. Okay, so going back to this,
Right.
listen,
I wish I could hire him to come on the calls.
I'm trying to figure out like, okay, so here's the most average, the most common use case, right? You hire a guy, he's like, oh, this is Gary, he's on my team. And then you say something a little bit deep, like, maybe that's true for all of us, Gary. And then your guests, the people on the call, think that you're a fucking sage,
Emotional savant.
like the Oracle of Delphi. You're bringing people together. So I was really looking at this for months because I was like, well, how can I utilize this? And I think I just figured it out. I'm going to pay somebody to be on my calls, like a developer, who just cries. I'm going to record this too, because this is great content. It just cries on cue. dropper and it's fucking genius.
Put it on YouTube.
And then you tell them that you did that and they're like, that's fucking genius.
Free marketing.
Yeah.
Well, it's paid more. You're paying him.
yeah, but like not much.
Like if I can make 150 an hour crying, honestly, I would quit my job. Just do 4 or 5 of those a day and live
But
comfortably.
yeah, I think it would really fuck with your skin because you'd be getting wrinkles from that,
You can remove.
And you know that if you act emotions out, it becomes your real emotions. So you would just be sad.
Maybe you can, cry out of happiness, but
Exactly.
outside.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
That's the
then-
job I want. Yeah, let's read some Tinder profiles here. I'm glad they can't read my...
You got few of them.
Yeah. Because I was like, well, how do I optimize my profile? I'm the kind of guy that you can take home to meet your mom. She'll think I'm charming, kind, and a bit sexy. She falls in love with me. I feel the same. We get married. I'm your dad now. confront you, young lady. Why do you have a Tinder account? You're grounded. So he's obviously targeting like 17-year-olds.
Okay, we're getting way too deep here. Tinder doesn't have 17-year-olds on it, so
Really?
They fake their age. They just,
They fake their age.
They just put
Tinder
19.
says they're 18.
No.
They're 18. Look,
I believe them.
don't get me arrested, please. I've been married for a long time, so just a note for the podcast.
Why
Just
ask?
no.
So that is a line of that's kind of funny, but it's kind of disturbing
weird.
too.
To quote Freud, Chris, do you have something weird going on with your mother?
No.
Do you want something weird to be going on with your mother? He has to think about it.
I have to think about it. Like, what would be weird? Love to laugh. My passions are shopping. I like this one. I like this one a lot. Love to laugh. My passions are shopping and being gorgeous. If you're not 6'5", don't talk to me. I never message first. No facial hair. Not looking for a hookup. Don't know why Tinder thinks I'm 24. Really 32. Haha. My music is my life. Don't ask me on a date if you're poor. This is very American. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. That's trailer. Sushi and caramel frappe equals what? Monkey? I don't understand that. How about stuff on the first date? I think this goes on a bit too long. If he would have just left it with the first stuff, like not looking for like.
Is he looking for girls or guys here?
He's making fun of like basic Tinder profiles, right? Because they are all the same. So I'm thinking, like, is that a good strategy? Because so many Polish girls don't actually put this stuff, but they say this stuff to you. To me. They're like, oh, I don't want to date a short guy.
You go on your first date and she pulls out a ruler and like, all right, let's see.
Well,
but they do write about like if you're poor, don't swipe.
Yeah, they do write some of that shit. Like my passion is shopping. I mean, some of the arrogant ones do. But
Traveling.
Yeah, my passion is traveling.
Traveling.
Look,
I'm a great travel companion.
As an
a lot of
adult
women
person now, like probably one of the best pastimes is going shopping. And I'm a guy.
What are you buying?
Tech, clothes, baby stuff.
How much tech can you buy? Like,
Honestly, that's a real problem because my room just is stacked up with so many computers and things. I don't know. I'm starting to become a hoarder.
Yeah, but like what? I wonder how many computers I have. One. I have one that I've never touched in the other room.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4,
It's not a computer.
5. Yes, it is.
It is.
6,
This is a
7,
computer?
8, 9, 10.
Yeah, like that is.
Anything with a chip is a computer, and almost everything has a chip in it.
Yeah.
These lights have-
If it can play Doom, it's a computer. So,
yeah.
Like,
Do you think someone can play Doom on one of
Do you
these
know what
lights?
a computer actually is?
Yeah, it can compute.
It's actually like a person.
Do you know who made the first computer?
as a person, I have to give my computer a name now.
I mean, it used to be a job. They would hire. It should have been called.
I think they had the stamp card or like you poke holes in paper, and that was like the first binary machine.
But I thought they were just basically doing
Cards.
math.
Perforated or whatever it was called.
I don't know. I was not alive back then, but
It's like
Me
like-
neither, but still interesting.
it is super interesting. Yeah, how did we get here?
There's a movie with that guy. What's his name?
Alan Turing.
Yeah. Is that what you were talking about? Did he invent computers?
Oh, did you know they sterilized him? Sterilized,
I
right?
think there's a single
He was
person
gay.
that invented computers. I think it's somebody invented transistors, somebody built something else.
Yeah, it started
It's
packing
like-
them on
it's-
top of
yeah.
each other.
But he was the first to assemble that.
Yeah, he's for sure. Yeah, he's
computing.
For sure, yeah, and there's that
unit.
whole Turing complete thing. And
Yeah.
Do you know?
So
you
yeah,
guys
he's
know?
done
Again,
a lot
I
of
ask again. Do you know they
Or
sterilized him?
Turing test.
Shouldn't hit the ring on the.
Yeah, sorry about that. It crashes the audio. Do you know that they sterilized Alan Turing
Yeah, because he was gay. That was the times, dude.
and then he killed himself?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was
He was gay,
sterilized.
so they
Well,
took
they
him
left
to
that
a
part
mental
out of the
hospital.
movie.
Holy
And
shit.
They knew that,
That would have made it
shit.
a better movie.
They basically destroyed his nuts.
Yeah, they knew
What do
that.
you mean they destroyed him? Like a lot of guys do that. They pay for that, right?
No, like they
Pedophiles
injected
pay
him
for
with
that,
something
you
and
know?
sterilized him. Like he can't have kids. He can't produce sperm.
Can't get a hard on.
Can't get a hard on, and so he killed
How
himself.
do you know that detail?
Because
From the movie.
I've done research. Look,
No, it's in the movie.
no, it's actually true. It's one of the sadder stories.
Isn't it ironic that so much?
He was also the founder of wokeness.
Yeah, he's also the founder of like online porn,
OnlyFans.
which is yeah. I mean, he sacrificed.
He's the founder
his
of
heart on
everything.
for ours. I'm looking for a girl.
You know their names.
I'm looking for a girl who's super mean. So a lot of girls would probably like this. I think this is a good one. She also has to be really clingy and jealous, and she's like, I could do that. I prefer women who talk about their ex and a love for the bootylicious. That might be a more cultural thing. And in my free time, I like to take off my shirt and take selfies. That's just explaining the photo. I'm super in shape thanks to my strict diet of Mountain Dew and Twizzlers. It's just ridiculous. Twizzlers, but I don't care about the rest. So the first two lines are really good. I think if I just came up with the third line there, that like gets to another level of ridiculousness.
But how it
That would be
happened-
funny, huh?
How it happened that to find a date online, you need to just make your profile
This
be
is
like
American.
edgy.
This is America. You have to stand out. Otherwise,
You were like, it's a point when to stand out, you need to
Everybody
write
stands out in
weird
the
shit.
same way, right?
I hope you like alpha males because I'm your guy. That's right. I'm the whole package. I'll defend your honor in public. I won't take shit from waiters. And I'll even get you pregnant, leave, and then come back to eat the child. See, he lost me there on eat the child. Like, how about get you pregnant and leave, period. Like, that would be an alpha male, wouldn't
Chris, did your dad get you pregnant?
it? My dad an alpha male?
Is your dad an alpha male? Do you know the .tv domain?
Yeah, Tuvalu.
Yesterday I interviewed the owner of the .tv domain.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Nice.
that was probably the coolest and most difficult interview I've had so far.
You were like, what do you mean? Like owner?
He owns the rights to the .tv domain.
Do you
Oh.
know that? But those
whole-
were
The
for sale.
TLD, the whole top level.
Okay.
When they opened that up, it was for sale. I was talking to one of my friends about like, it's only $100,000 to create your own TLD,
Yeah, now it's
but then you had to actually provide the
they
kind of services for it.
right. You have to have some kind of reasoning for that, and it's subjective, so they might reject you.
This is the business idea that I don't know why it doesn't exist. A glass door for companies. How many fucking scumbags have you hired? How many people would you like to write bad reviews for?
Oh my god, dude! So many people.
that you work with.
So
Yeah,
many.
it's,
You can do that about a company. Why? But you
It's
can't do that
illegal
about a
because
person.
of personal information, personal.
What is it called?
Identifying.
What is
information.
that? What is that like issue?
Yeah, but I figure if
Yeah,
you,
it's hard to build a database. I mean, we were thinking about it a
that's
while
a
back.
good like
Because after
distributed
having
service.
some employees steal from us, we were thinking about like building something where you would.
Every company's thought
deterministically-
about it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And there is.
But can you do
I think
it?
there- I don't know. It's a
Anonymously?
legal problem, right? It's not a technical.
Yeah, because you
technically
can
it's-
run into issues with
couldn't
what is
you
it?
base
What
it
what
out
is
of,
that
like,
law called
No,
when you're
it's-
like when you say something bad about someone?
I think there is a workaround for that.
Libel if it's written and blasphemy.
not blasphemy. It's like if you criticize someone or like blame
It's
someone.
called.
I don't remember.
I lost a lot of. American
I lost the
words.
word.
But don't you know this when you talk bad about somebody? It's libel is the written speaking bad about somebody in written form.
Yeah,
But-
it's a legal term too, right?
But then there's another word.
I just don't remember.
It's so common. Bad mouthing somebody.
Something I don't know.
Defamation.
Defamation. That's the one. Yeah. It's a defamation problem. Like, dude, I would love to talk shit about almost everyone I've ever worked
Not.
with.
I mean, like, I think there is a way around it. Like,
Anonymously.
you can't.
No,
Yeah,
publicly.
You cannot. You
then
cannot
you can do that.
publish personal information. They can publish hashes, right? So what if you could like take somebody's personal data, hash it in a deterministic way?
But you want to sell
And
this
attach-
ultimately. You want to sell. Well, okay, no, you're.
No,
this
but
is just
somebody
marketing,
comes to
right?
you, you know their info, so you can derive their hash and check the rating for the
If
hash.
you know what city they're in, you can say, "Hey, there's a guy in this city. He's got red hair and a mustache."
Dude,
and-
just take their text number, first name, last name, and hash it, and you have something irreversible that's not personal information, and you can look it up. But you cannot reverse it. You can, you know, if
You
have-
can basically like have
Anything
a
that
form
you
on
can
a
use to
site.
identify.
You can put a
Yeah.
name in that. You could put a last name. You could put a phone number, and it'll
Well,
create
phone
the same
numbers are
hash.
too easy to change, so it's they're not. But yeah, like
Example,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Not as easy to change in the U.S.
What?
I mean, you can, but
It's
they're
Dude,
tied.
it takes 5 seconds.
Do you know
to
how
get a
many?
US
Do you know
number.
how many phone numbers? Okay, if you want random phone numbers in the U.S., buy them from New York. New York is the only state with laws where you can basically buy a phone number without showing your ID. So I used to just go there, buy like five. Yes. So I would buy like 5 different phone numbers,
The only
and
country in the I went to Ukraine and you can buy one without showing an idea. It's just like
New York,
take a
bro.
card and you pay.
New York.
How is that fucking legal?
I'm telling you, I used to
With
do it.
internet data?
Yes.
Internet data?
Yes.
Well, actually, internet data is easy. Like
You literally get it from what are the vending
Not in the
machines?
US. Like
dial
in New
no,
York.
in the US, like for just for data, you get an eSIM for Bitcoin over Lightning, and you're like, it's easy, it's super cheap worldwide. Data is
No, but it wouldn't connect to the towers in the States. Like the States is really really fucking difficult with their internet. It's a different beast than Europe. Europe has the best internet on the planet.
Okay, Steelman, this idea. I have this thing that I worked on. So this guy has a app. I won't say the name, but it's an air gapped, right? So you
the messaging thing.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's a cool
you
idea.
you write the message in a phone that's never been connected to the internet, except to download the app, I guess. And so you buy a new phone.
So you can download the app, put it
app.
on a USB, plug it in, and
No.
So
Yeah.
you download the app, you connect to the internet to download the app, and then you disconnect it and you never connect it again. And then you can type your message into this. It presents a QR code. Then you scan it with a Pegasus infected or whatever phone, but it's encrypted. So you're sharing the public key. You do that on the other side. So you've got an air gapped solution to where this phone could never be hacked.
I have another way to explain this. It's like a Bitcoin hardware wallet, but instead of signing transactions, it encrypts and decrypts messages and communicates with your hot device through QR codes. So it's like the attack surface for any exploits is like super small. It's like it's
the German guy.
So the point is that I was like, okay, we could make this into a device, and you can connect it to other air. The air gap phone can be connected to a computer.
You're reinventing hardware wallets, bro.
Yeah, but I'm saying you can send theoretically you could send photos, text, or audios.
Yeah, you can encrypt any data. Basically.
And you could send it over like this air gap phone and have it be completely secure. So we could sell a device and then an onion router cloud service to obscure the IP. And then I was thinking, like, I'm going to sell that to lawyers because they can legally deal with criminals.
You know what's going to happen with you if you do this? You're going to get the tornado cash treatment.
What's that?
You're going to go like to some random country, and the police are just going to pick you up and throw you in a cell and never speak to you again.
That's tornado cash?
Yeah.
What do those words have to do with each other?
You know what a mixer is in crypto world?
Yeah.
So there was a guy who created a mixer basically. And,
that's the name of it. Tornado cash?
This is the name of it. And
So he flew to Amsterdam for vacation. Police came, picked him up, threw him in a cell 2 years ago. No court date, no charges, nothing. He's just sitting in a
In
jail cell
Netherlands.
Yep.
in Netherlands for 2 years. Nothing.
No
reason,
charges,
nothing.
no.
No one has heard a
conversation.
word from him for 2 years. No one even knows if he's still alive. He's just sitting there.
Well, first
That's
of all,
that's what happens when you like do
I
this
think
kind
that-
of anonymous stuff.
I think Threema's already invented this, and I think they are like they have a level 1 that's available publicly, and then level 2 and 3 that's not available. It's like military only, and I think that they already do this stuff. So I think it's just like the, public, like I've thought of this thing that they probably already do. So now all I need to do is build it and sell it to whomever will buy it. But I guess the point is that like if you become good at business with it, then you become a target. And your point is not really relevant to me because I would just be an investor in it. I wouldn't be actually involved with it.
Yeah, I'm saying like these types of things that where you're building technology that's disruptive specifically to
But
governments.
hey, maybe like how come like
long
Wasabi
as you can-
developers or Whirlpool developers are fine and nobody's going after
Do people
them?
are they doxxed? Like, do people know who they
Yeah,
are?
like Wasabi at least is up is in the open. It's
Where do
like
they live?
well-known. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you say Wasabi?
Yeah, one of the
Wasabi. I know Whirlpool.
Yeah, Whirlpool and Wasabi are like two biggest, most popular Bitcoin mixers. Yeah, and one. At least
I think
one,
Bitcoin is too embedded in the U.S. government.
Yeah, that's what.
It's
I think
too
that
popular with the
Tornado
conservatives.
Cash thing. It was over Tether, right? The whole thing, probably most likely. I think it was more. It's very likely that the whole thing was about like because Tether is basically a dollar, right? It's a kind of a digital dollar.
Yes.
And I think it's because of that they want to retain control over the dollar and they don't really care about Bitcoin. But dollar is their product, right? So
This app
Let's go with him. Let's go.
the female egotistical and narcissistic nature by giving them selfie culture that they crave. I mean, it's like he's talking to a guy and a smorgasbord of cock to choose from. They're like, yeah, so what? This in turn transforms most of these girls into picky bitches with shitty attitudes who believe they're special snowflakes. Again, sounds great for a girl. Most of you females on here have nothing to offer but your depreciating looks and your worn out, disease-ridden vaginas. Like what a jaded guy. Also, I like sushi and mini golf. So
Okay, I have honest opinions about this.
I like this one the best.
I floss.
I floss. That tells a lot about a fucking person, doesn't it? Like,
I'm clean.
Well, that they have discipline, that they have nice teeth, that they have nice breath, that they have care for their body, obviously.
But also they like the chain smokers.
Yeah, that's
So you just invalidated your point there.
Well, I mean, how intelligent can you be? If you, I like the chain smoker.
Oh no.
There's one song that I like. It's a remix.
Just one
by somebody
song.
else.
Just one song made by somebody else.
Well, I mean, it's remixed, but the original artist.
Don't you think Tinder is like a
Can you
weird
imagine
beast?
being a data scientist at Tinder? Okay, looking for a girl who will slowly replace all my friends. The more controlling, the better. I like the things that are compliant to girls. Like girls are like, yeah. Then my friends will ask, hey, dude, what happened? Where have you been? And I'd say, oh, well, me and I've been getting very serious and we're going to move in together and start family. This is normal shit. Except I think she's cheating on me, man. Well, this is where it like takes a right turn. What do I do? And he says, dude, we haven't talked for years. I hardly know you anymore. I've moved on.
Is this Abdul? I'm joking, Abdul, if you're ever listening to this.
Why would you do this to me? This one's like just kind of weird. Like, I think this is one somebody's kind of stretching to be entertaining.
yeah.
I'm looking for a girl who's super mean, really clingy and jealous, mixed with this one, like
Maybe you should open your
one paragraph of that.
You should open your Tinder profile and put your. Let's see what you have written. No,
I mean, I can't type in the password. I would, but I can't type in the password here because they can see my keys. I can do it under the table, but still, you could fucking
Yeah, probably.
figure it out from the
you-
sound.
Yeah, This guy invested in Facebook when Zuck was still in college. So, and he also owns the .tv. Now, who am I? I don't have anything. I don't have a market cap. I didn't found anything, but I'm still talking to these people. This guy is probably one step away from Zuckerberg. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's like a network numbers game. If you speak to people, they're going to connect you to more people and you're going to go closer to somebody. You're 4 steps away from almost any billionaire, right? This is the kind of point I'm trying to get across. So if you're talking about like who's important, it's just a numbers game. Talk to a bunch of people. You're eventually going to talk to someone who's connected to someone else. Am I making sense here?
The only thing is how can you optimize? What do you do? So
It doesn't
you can
matter.
get there faster, but like still,
You can buy 3 cameras and 4 mics.
The
and
original
computers.
question, the original statement was that like I shy away from talking to people, and you want to talk to people.
I want to talk to people because talking to people makes you more rich and have more things and also connected to more other people.
And that's my point to you is that like I have inherently introverted tendencies that makes me poorer than I should be.
I sit in VR 8 hours a day. Like I'm not extroverted.
You should let them two talk and say that you're not extroverted. Like, is he extroverted?
I'm living on the internet.
That's a good response from the introverted person.
I have to say.
Is he hard to say?
hard to say. That's what the introverts do.
Hard to say.
Like you're
barely.
extrovert. You have this urge
Thing where
to
you
talk
talk.
with people.
Thing where you
Yeah,
talk.
but like the way you talk also, yeah.
Is he extroverted?
No.
Do
So-
any of you know what introversion is actually?
Like your social
I'm
battery.
guessing you're going to tell me I don't.
No, like I mean, like I'm like really like what's the definition of it?
Somebody who spends more time inside than outside.
No, it's about
that's
processing
not
information in your brain, whether
How-
it's internal or external, and how you process. It's
so many
Yeah.
people need to dump their emotions outside of themselves.
How much are you willing to put into an actual like out of house studio?
When you say that, let's go back to the introvert extrovert thing. The thing that I like the most about this place is that the sound proofing is better than anywhere else I've ever fucking heard. Although you can hear between floors. I can hear if the kids running upstairs or if there's people. So after 10, I wouldn't be making shitloads of noise. Before 10, I can make shitloads of noise.
right.
Anyway, there is this thing when you're singing your heart out that you're vulnerable. And Rihanna would go into a studio and say, okay, turn off all the lights and only the engineer in the engineering room. You're so vulnerable. You feel completely judged when you pour your heart out in your voice, when you experiment, when you go give 100%. And so I would say that the thing that I was going to tell you about like monkeys and extroversion, introversion, extroversion in monkeys is basically measured in how much do the monkeys go away from their mother? How they say that like, oh, how secure do they feel? And the only way to turn an introverted monkey into an extroverted monkey long term, because they consider extroversion healthy, is by putting with an aunt or a sister that rehabilitate, like an extroverted aunt or sister. So extroversion is quite natural when you're healthy, warm, not traumatized. So when you're around friends, like that's the whole point of this is like that we're around friends so we can be more warm and extroverted. And so the introversion that I'm talking about, like what's the core thing? And it's like, I feel very vulnerable in a group of people because there's so many ways that I feel like I don't, so many things that I'm sensitive to that I feel judged. And that's at the root of like introversion, extroversion, like the things that I care about, like most people don't care about. So I feel like they're judging me. And so my core motivation is to actually do some stuff like artistically, which is very vulnerable, which means that I can't be around groups. And I think that's the difference at the core between you and me, is that I have some specific, like I want to create art, I want to create music, and being around a lot of people is not, there's nothing conducive to that. It's actually being around like few people or no one that's conducive to that. Like one really intense relationship can drive that.
Okay. Podcast, programming, project management. For me, that's stuff that I do, that I enjoy, that's work that I'm willing to put in front of other people, and I don't care how people perceive it, because it's a competence thing. If I'm a competent programmer and project manager, that's going to show, and I'm going to get more work. If I'm a competent podcaster, more people are going to be on my podcast.
Before you're doing all that shit, you're doing group stuff, and you're motivated to talk to people because you have like what you're creating is groups. Like what you're literally is like you're creating connections with people. And so therefore, like the judgment stuff of people, because everybody is afraid of public speaking, the judgment of people, like you getting to know people because you're doing it one by one. There's an underlying motivation that you have as an extrovert that, we don't have. Otherwise we'd be doing that.
Okay.
So what's your motivation?
So there's me, right? As a person, and I think all of us, right? There is a part of you, and that's your core, that you're not just going there and advertising to the world. That could be, what kind of pet do you like? Who you like to date? What kind of environment do you like to live in? That is very personal. I don't go and advertise that. The part of myself that has the podcast, does the meetings, is not that same part that my wife knows, that my kid is going to know, that my cats know. That is a separate thing. The part of myself that the world knows is the part of myself that is functional. So if I have a podcast with someone, I am an interviewer. I'm not, me is outside of that. I am asking questions and you're responding. The spotlight is not on me. It's on the person who I'm talking to. I am unimportant in that conversation. I'm just a vehicle for understanding that person. And I think that's kind of like what I like to focus on in those conversations. I like to understand who I'm talking to. I am not important. I am literally nobody.
So there's some like statistics about this. Like the maximum number of people that you can actually have a somewhat in-depth conversation with is 27,000 people in your lifetime. The max number of people that you can have that conversation. So
unless you're a politician,
you're not having deep conversation. I mean, that's like,
just public speaking. That's different, right?
I don't know where that came from, but the point is that, so what's driving some people to get up to that number, and what's driving people to like stay way below the average, right? What's the underlying motivator?
I'm not ignoring you. I'm actually like
looking up the answer.
No,
ChatGPT, tell me the answer. Hey, do you guys...
Square root of 8 billion, 89,424 divided by 4.
Square root of what?
24,000.
Logic? What's the logic?
What is the square root of 8 billion people?
Which
we have more people than 8 billion. You said 24,000, right?
27,000.
27,000.
Why square root?
Just because I think
Just random math operations.
What's the function? I know you.
Stupid question. Stupid fucking question.
Stupid question.
What?
Stupid introvert. Shut up. No, square root of 8 billion.
Because
we have more like
numbers, man. Numbers.
We have more like
are at the
8.5
heart
billion
of
right now. Look, we have more like
That's the kind of math you like. All right.
Yeah, of course.
Let's take that number and divide it.
If I can get a number that closely matches something around research, and I can get it, that's logic.
It's interesting.
You could just reverse that 27,000 like squared twice. It's 27,000 power 3.
We were talking earlier about like this connection effect, right? If you know one person, you're
You're not answering the question.
okay.
which
What's
is-
the question? Go ahead.
the question is? You were sitting at a event of yours where there's a guy that just showed up, and you went and talked to him
Mm-hmm.
after talking to me. And this guy is clearly a newbie. Why the fuck did you talk to him? I mean,
Were you a newbie?
At some point, yeah, but not at that event.
Okay, so if I didn't talk to you when you were a newbie, would I have gotten to sit here with you in a podcast room?
So it's a gambling.
It's a
Yeah,
numbers
but
game.
what is your original motivation? Like, how did you learn that? That's the question.
Okay, here's my original motivation. When I was 19, I had 0 friends and a horrible lifestyle. Right?
The same.
You're 19, aren't you?
No.
So this was okay for me. I'm 25. This was
Isn't
six.
that a
years
song?
ago.
Like, we're not your friends. Like, okay, sorry.
This was 6 years ago. I was 19. Now I'm 25. I had a horrible lifestyle. I had 0 friends, 0 people that I cared about. I didn't have my family. I didn't have anything. And what I noticed is that, one, I didn't talk to anybody. I just went and did the bad things that I was doing and went home, and that's it. That's my life. So fast forward 3 years. How do I make my life better? I need to meet more people who are better than me. Right?
Do you like talking to people?
So at some point,
Not always.
you had the impetus, the thought that I'm going to talk to people that are better than me.
Yes. That's the
But
thing that
what
made
was
me
the
better.
thing? What happened?
Well, I tried everything else. I
No,
tried.
but what specifically happened? Some interaction like spurred you to think about that.
The only people I ever talked to were people that were like me.
Okay, so but what happened that gave you like the first light, the shone a light on the idea? Who did you talk to? What
Probably
happened?
going to you want to get vulnerable. Probably going to the so there's like NA and AA, right?
Yeah.
Probably going to those events.
Okay. So you talked
That's
to-
the first, like, these are people, at least the ones that were there for a long time. These are people that are better than me. And now I have a direct line of people that are improving my life. Who is improving my people that are better than me. People that have a job, that are relatively like not being stupid, right? These are people that are better than me, and my life started improving. And I think that kind of cemented the idea, if you're sitting with people that are better than you, your life is going to improve.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that lately, that I need to go to concerts, and any support you guys can provide would be appreciated. I need to go to musical events of like lowly artists here, because those are the ones that I can touch, and make friends, because I need to be playing music with people.
You need to be in the industry.
I need to be, what did you say? Like, be with better people.
With people that are not better
that are
people,
better.
people that are better than you
They're better than me at music. Yeah, I need
at
to be with
anything,
people.
like whatever it is.
You're not
Well,
into-
in particular music, because
Yeah.
that's what I want to work on. That's
Not
what, I want to hang out with
electronic, though.
musicians, huh?
Not electronic, yeah. Just
You
give
mean
up.
like mostly like rock or what? Yeah, like what
I mean,
are you
electronic
looking
spans,
for?
like,
Which genres? are you
Empire of
looking
the Sun is electronic,
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Pop.
I guess.
electronic. There's no
Yeah, I
name for
mean-
pop electronic.
There's some electronic influence everywhere now, I guess.
Alternatives, like I don't know.
or some, but yeah, but like in general, like what's your like genres
Genre?
or like what's most interesting to you?
Across the board. But I have a song that's like kind of funk now, which is
the trendy stuff.
it sounds funny, but when I heard it, I was like, oh, it's actually kind of
Right, so you don't
my style.
You don't care what kind of artist, you just want to like get into.
No,
the-
I do care. They have to be good.
right, like across genres, it's like doesn't really matter as long as they're.
I mean, I can spot the Mr. Beast as a musician, and I can tell how many. There's a lot of people. Most people's success depend on like interaction with other people.
Mhm.
So I do think that there's a lot of people that could be more successful, because when you're writing music, and this applies to a lot of things in life, you're playing music and you might have this really good part, and then you're like, oh, I want to continue following that. And then you fall out of the part, and then it, like, one of the things that I do that most people don't do is just record everything. But if you can go back and identify that and then build on top of it. It's like the difference between a drafter and an editor, like an amazing editor. And so that's the ability, is like identifying that and then building on top of it, drafting again, and then identifying the next part that you're going to build on top of it. That is what makes all great songwriters great songwriters. But most common way that you have like super bands is that you have a conversation between two people that are great editors. And at one point I was working with this biotech company, and I said, I bet you anything that Nobel Prize winners always worked in pairs. So I started to research it, and it was true that they always fucking work in pairs. It's this conversation, like two people that really have a close relationship that spur each other. And the guy, Isaac Newton, there was when there's the famous book about like germs, guns, and steel, right? And it's six glasses that define the world, or something like that. And they said coffee in London, at some point there was coffee houses, and they had subgenres where it was like there was a scientific subgenre for gravity was one of the main conversations that these two scientists at the university were arguing over, like who could provide a written theorem first. And these two guys, like one of them consulted with Isaac Newton, saying like, hey, I think this guy's full of shit. And so these two guys were competing. Isaac Newton went over the summer and wrote Principia, because obviously he was spurred like to be better than these two guys that he thought was inferior. And so basically competition drives, and it's the same thing like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones were recording at Abbey Road at the same time as the Beatles. And the Rolling Stones would hear what the Beatles were recording and be like, God, guys, we need to up our game. We need to do better than that.
I think this is a point that's very attractive to him. So free market capitalism, this idea that you have competition and that competition is going to drive better product, right? This is like, it's a classical idea. So you have the Apple Vision Pro, and you have Meta that's been working on this problem for 8 years in some way or another. And the Apple Vision Pro comes in, that's going to light a fire under Meta's ass. Now they need to actually produce a better product much quicker, because otherwise they're going to lose their market share to the Apple Vision Pro.
Wouldn't that be cool if they changed their name to Meta SaaS?
You're not going to lose market share to a product that's 10 times more expensive. Like,
no, you will, because it's better. It's just better.
Today. At some point, maybe in the future. But
I am not rich. I'm not rich, and I don't have expendable income to the point where I can buy an Apple Vision Pro. But I've tried his Apple Vision Pro.
You just told me you wanted to buy it. You're going to buy it on credit?
I want to buy it. No, I want to buy it, right?
Can I have a loan?
But I'm only going to make that sacrifice if it's so much better that this is like the way to go. But
I just
right
told
now,
you it wasn't better, and you're still like,
no, I'm just trying to explain the point. Is that now for someone like me who has never tried a Vision Pro, never tried a Meta device, I bought the Meta Quest because the competition is so good that I see the potential in where this is going. And I think this is the same with like people that are trying to get these awards or podcasters or anything. If you are so good at something that you're creating a competitive environment, you're really going to grow that domain that you're in. And right now we're talking about VR, but this can be mapped to anything. If you're really, really good at something, you're not only going to create like a competitive environment between the two companies, but between the people that believe in these companies. So people are going to start like picking sides. If I can afford the MetaQuest, I'm going to do that because, the Apple Vision Pro is really breaking ground. So this must be something that has potential. So like competition is really important. I get that. Competition is really important. And you're saying that this happens with Nobel Prize winners. What Nobel Prize winners did you see that this is happening with?
Self-validation is a tough thing to do. Like, it's really hard to
I heard
say
it's- yeah,
my
I
idea
heard-
is good. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, but if
Self-validation
I
is
talk to you or to you or to you, you can just give me
Right. Is
a
it just
feedback.
good to me or
Yeah,
somebody
but like-
else maybe too? Right? Yeah. You need that. You really need.
You need perspective.
You need
on
extra
other
like.
people.
Is this thing that I'm building just useful for me or maybe useful
or
for me,
maybe there's some more
yeah,
people.
because
that-
like otherwise, like why am I building this? Right?
But think about that. You're it's like two filters, right? So you have two spotlights and they happen to hit each other and they're different brightness, different color, but slightly, right? But they seem to match. Two people like actually kind of steer each other in a way. You know what I mean? Because they focus
Yeah, you
each
have
other.
like a reference point outside of your brain that helps you.
I'm
steer
trying to think of an
the
analogy
reality.
that fucking
Yeah.
defines it, but I don't know what it is. But two people actually, kind of focus each other on the same point somehow. What's the fucking analogy?
Mister, I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert.
Who, me?
Yeah, let's take this podcast and break it down to, we have four audio points here. Let's see what percentage of each audio point is being used at any time.
What?
Yeah, I'm in my home. I'm with my friends. This is what I needed to do.
I started the podcast.
You what?
I started the
No,
podcast.
but that's like the hard truth of realizing what you realized. But it's not internal for me. If I could stop doing it, I would. The only reason that my harsh reality is that I can be incredibly like sacrificial of my life, but unless I'm communicating with people one-on-one, but what's the fucking point? Why not communicate with people like 1 to a million? And because first of all, part of the stuff about being canceled, like I'm at the age where I don't give a shit about reputation anymore. In fact, like killing my ego, I realize is like probably the healthiest thing I can do. Not 100% sure about that, but I think that's what I'm walking around thinking about. Like if I want to hit on a girl, I have to kill my ego. I have to put myself below her to get rejected by her and feel like, I'm not that important and I don't matter. So that's the daily reality that all of us are actually living, but I don't want to admit it. I don't want to feel that. So, but the reality of how life works is forcing me to just be real.
I mean, I like realization. Like when it hits me. then, like, Yeah, but like,
Kumbaya.
yeah, but like
Because like nobody likes realization.
I do when it hits me.
I
then,
fucking
like,
hate being inspired. It's like
I agree.
yeah, but like you say, it's hard to admit that shit.
No, it's hard to kill your ego. It's hard to be like, I don't matter at all. And nobody gives a shit about me. Everybody forgets everything all the time.
Yeah, but
and they forget me and I could die and nobody cares.
But this
Except
is
my mom.
This is good
Who
attitude
might die
of
soon
living.
too. Huh?
This is good attitude of living. It's great. It works. If you do constantly think about
It's called being depressed too.
no.
yeah.
No, you can be at a point when you say nothing is important about me, so I'm just doing
The
my
thing
thing.
that's important about you, I'm gonna counteract my own argument, I guess, but the thing that's important about you is that you care about you. You're the one that treats yourself like your own child and cares if you go out without a jacket and get sick and then you have to take care of yourself, because every moment of your life, you're the one that loves you the most. So you do matter to you.
Yeah, and only to you.
And the thing that binds you to other people is that you understand that other people also feel the same way. And you can appreciate them you could feel what they feel. So it's the going up to somebody that you don't know and talking to them is like confronting the reality that you don't feel what they feel. And that sucks. But he's motivated because he's hit a bottom, and I'm now motivated.
You know what you need to do? Go to a random alleyway and smoke crack.
That's how my podcast started.
Look, we're here to have honest conversations.
That's your advice.
I did morphine one time because I had herpes zoster, which is shingles, where I had like severe headaches and some things. Like when I was 20, they were like, "Oh, nobody gets this at 20; they get it at 45."
Did you like it?
The morphine, yeah. And I thought about it 20 years later, and I was like, "Oh, that's what addiction is.
Damn.
That's what addiction is." I was like, "Oh, how could I go back and get some?" And I was like, "What the fuck?" Because I think about it every couple of years or something, and I was like, "Oh, that's what addiction is. It's completely subconscious that it just shows up in your thoughts."
You know what's surprising to me? How many people hate Hunter Biden?
Do you think that affects you guys that you're not natives? Do you think that we're more talkative because we're natives in English?
No idea.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't think so. I mean,
I think people would have a hard time
now that
telling
you're
you.
saying that, maybe, but I don't know.
I think people wouldn't even be able to tell that you're not natives.
Specifically him, not to single anybody out, but like I can't tell.
Yeah, you don't really have an accent, and
You're
he
really
has a
like
little bit of-
fluent.
he has a little bit of an accent.
Yeah, but he's still very fluent.
Yeah, and I'm surprised how many people in this country in particular are extremely fluent,
Man, like
and they don't even know it. I think they just because okay. So here's an interesting thing about people with accents. You could spend your entire life with an accent, but you can switch it in a second because I've noticed this. Like if I try to act like a Brazilian that's speaking Portuguese like in exaggerated fashion, I feel like an idiot. Like you could speak like a Southerner and you'll feel like an extra idiot. I feel like an idiot when I speak like a Southerner.
Me too.
But if you do it, you're going to feel like an extra idiot, very uncomfortable. But once you get enough feedback, you'll be like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like you might take it on as a personality and then forget that you're even doing it. So most people's problems with speaking with an accent is actually just owning a personality and so somehow Polish people are really okay with being like sounding American. They don't have the resistance. A lot of other countries are like, I'm not comfortable with with such a different accent. And Polish people have accents. Most people do.
The US has had like a lot of influence over Polish culture for the past, several decades, I guess. Like, what was the TV stations that, like were popular, like like most like from outside of Poland, right? Non-Polish TV stations are mostly American, right? Like MTV, like Cartoon Network or whatever.
Cartoon Network,
Yeah,
MTV.
it's like-
But I don't know. I didn't watch that shit. So
Okay.
Isn't
What
it-
did you watch? What?
basically, no TV.
Yeah, you missed it by a few years.
Nickelodeon.
I was watching
YouTube?
TV.
Yeah.
But you have more.
So
Yeah,
anyways.
when I was older, yeah, YouTube.
What do you watch on YouTube?
I'm American.
Yeah, American. Like, yeah. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Podcasts.
Mariana, the traffic show that I told you guys about. Belize. What are the top 3 gangs in Belize? Belize is a South American country.
All
Crips,
I know about Belize is
Crips.
their tax haven.
These are the top 3 gangs in Belize. The Crips, the Bloods, and some third gang that's in LA. Why is the Crips an American black culture gang and the Crips and the Bloods? Why are they the top 2 gangs
How
in
did they
Belize?
get there? Yeah.
Okay, here's how they get there. So these people from Belize, they immigrate to the United States. They are families, right? They are doing their work. They have kids. These kids are dream children, so they don't actually have the nationality. They're 18. They commit crimes. They get deported back to Belize. They've already joined gangs. So now they take their gang culture to Belize and they start a gang in Belize. Now we have Crips and Bloods in Belize. So now the top 3 gangs, I don't know what the third one is, I forgot, are all American gangs from LA. How does that happen, right? If you look at this without the context, you wouldn't understand that. America, people say it's the military or it's the music or whatever. The top export of America is culture. America exports culture.
Yeah, like music is just a medium for that, right? It's yeah.
Everybody listens to American music.
Yeah.
Everybody watches American movies. Everybody
exactly.
is participating in American culture.
In Poland, right? That's exactly. And this has been going on for like decades, right? So,
Spreading information.
yeah.
But is it on purpose or?
It's
It
not
just
on
happens?
purpose. It just happens. Like if
Like
you have
Russia
tech
is the
innovation,
same thing.
Russia's the same thing, but for the East.
It's just because it's a bigger amount of bigger population.
So Algeria, I lived there for like 7 years. The number one most famous software engineer in Algeria wrote this software called SpyEye, which is SpyEye is like an exploit that they connect to websites. It's like a shadow form. So if you have like a form for logging in, so there's the shadow form. When you write into one input field, it's writing into the second.
Captures your keystrokes.
It captures your keystrokes. So this guy from Algeria, actually, this software was developed with an Algerian and a Russian, right? So Russia is really involved in culture as well, but on the eastern bloc of the world. So anybody involved, like China, all of the Asian countries, all of the North African countries, the Middle East, Russia captured that audience, and then Europe and maybe South America, the US captured that culture. It's just like a geography thing. Who's closer to you?
So Algeria,
Spheres of
tell me
influence.
about the shady side of Algeria. Like, what are the things that people don't tell you about? So, for example, didn't Algeria have slaves up until recently?
Algeria abolished slavery really early. I think it was in the 1500s, before Europe abolished slavery. Libya.
Okay,
Libya has slaves right now. They actually re-legalized slavery in 2013.
But I don't understand how slavery works today when you have the internet. Can't you just be writing like, Amnesty International, I'm a slave, can you help me?
Do you know which countries slaves come from now? It used to be Africa. Which countries slaves come from
Africa's
now?
not a country.
Indonesia. I don't know.
No, like as in a continent, but all of the African countries south of Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco were slaves. Who are the slaves now? Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia.
Really?
Yep. Almost 100% of slaves nowadays are from
Is that the country next to Thailand?
Myanmar. Myanmar is actually north of China, northwest.
Didn't they have a coup like a year ago?
Myanmar is called Burma.
It used to be.
Oh.
Did you say Myanmar is northwest of China?
I think so. Is it
It's next to
southwest?
Thailand. Yeah, it's southwest.
Southwest.
Myanmar, Burma, as it's called, I guess.
Burma is the
It's the
biggest.
old name, right?
It's
Burma
which
or
is the old
Myanmar
name?
is the biggest.
Burma is the old name, I think.
Oh.
Myanmar
It's
is
the country with the biggest genocide
Ever in the last years. Yeah.
in the last
so they,
100
so
years.
They did a rebrand.
yeah.
They did a rebrand.
Yeah.
This is definitely gonna go.
The
It'd be problematic.
Buddhists, they killed the
They killed the Muslims.
Muslims, yeah.
Yep.
And because like in stereotypes, people think, oh, Buddhist is like peaceful religion, right? And they just did the massive genocide.
Do they have their own I'm seeing something that looks like Arabic or something. Do they have their own alphabet?
That is closer to the Georgian alphabet, than it is to the Arabic.
Okay. So I heard that Myanmar is like in terms of like finding a wife, it's the kind of undiscovered country.
Dude,
I think it's undiscovered for many reasons.
because they kill each other.
Well, I don't know.
Have you? Okay. Did I tell you about Trafficked by Mariana Vans something? Vans.
Yeah, I know her, and
You know her. You know her
personally.
show.
I know her show. Yeah.
You need to. Yeah. I've been recommending this every day. So I watched it like 3 years ago. The first 2 seasons, and I watched the last 2 seasons this month. Magic. She's amazing.
You're in love with her.
I love her. One of the most amazing women I've ever seen. The crazy
Did you hear
shit
about
she
the
does.
story that during the Arab Spring?
Which one?
In
There's a
Egypt.
lot of stories back
In
then.
Egypt, where she was almost killed. She was like almost raped. She had her clothes torn off.
I need to watch that. Okay, I did not watch that. For innocent reasons.
For innocent reasons?
Yes. I need to watch that for innocent reasons. Guys, thank you for listening. Please come back again. Please be Gary in the corner, crying
Hit
at everything
that.
we say.
But for free. But for free.
that.
Smash that
I mean,
subscribe button.
That's the rest of